It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/real ID or visit your local DMV.
Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
The badass.
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder, your favorite true crime momcast. I'm Rachel.
And I am Heather, and each week we bring you mom-related true crime, from missing moms to murdered moms, moms who murder, survivors, and more.
Yes. A couple things first and foremost. So we love our listeners so much. So if you keep coming back for more and you're tuning in each and every week, thank you guys so much. It means the world to us. If you guys love us so much that you need more of us, there is that option for you guys as well. We will always have our free content on Tuesdays and our bonus drops on Thursdays when those happen. Those are not going anywhere. That is always there. But if you guys need more, we do have Patreon and we do have the Apple subscription. That is, if you just want ad-free and early listening, the episodes come out on Sunday night on that day, so you get it early as well as ad-free. That's available for you guys, as well as another tier where you get ad-free, early listening, as well as bonus content from bonus doc talks, as well as just a couple other things. Sometimes there will be cases. We have our new series we started, Dead Serious, but not really. And that is there as well, where you just get a little friend sesh hangout with your two mom besties. So that is there for you guys.
Today's episode will probably be a little bit longer because there's just so much, and it's also important that we share as much as we're able to do. So we're going to get into it. There's not going to be a question of the week. We're going to try to just jump right in because today we have a case that we are bringing you guys, as well as parts of an interview with an amazingly strong woman named Krissi Atkisson, who sat with us to help tell the unsolved murder of her biological mother, Wilma June Nissen.
We will be going back and forth from telling you the details and bringing information right on into different parts of our interview with Krissi. So please listen to all of the details of Wilma's story, from her childhood to her murder to the investigation and everything surrounding it, as well as the fight that needs to continue and how you can help us share Wilma's story, raise awareness on her case, and hopefully soon we will see some answers and resolution when it comes to this 46-year-old case. Let's dive in.
Wilma June Nissen was born on October 4th, 1954 in San Francisco to Charles and June Nissen. What you are about to hear about Wilma's childhood and her life growing up will definitely break your heart. It's nothing that anyone, especially a child, should ever have to endure, yet Wilma did. It is a tragic thought that within the first 10 years of her life, she had to grow up and do more living than most do well into their adult lives.
Krissi is going to introduce herself, and then she's going to get into Wilma's childhood.
My name is Krissi. I am Wilma, my biological mother. I am her final child. She had 2 children before me. They were both boys. I have not been able to locate them. They were both taken by CPS as infants, as far as I know. And I'm on a quest to not let my mom be forgotten.
So 2 brothers, you haven't been able to find them. You knew names, right? So you know names of your brothers, and it's just...
I know their birth names, but since they were put in the system as infants, those were more likely than not changed. Also, They were both born premature. I was too. My mom liked to drop babies at 7 months. So if you see the research on my 2 brothers on her side, they were born 7 months apart. So she had a preemie and then immediately got pregnant and had another preemie. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know if they're alive, honestly.
So we know you were not raised with your mom, which we'll be getting into her story. You were raised by a family that your mom was also raised
for a little bit. Yes.
For a little bit. So there's that connection as well. What are your feelings about that?
I have no anger towards my biological mother for not keeping me. I am a little frustrated that my adopted family had her for a few years, couple years at least, and would not tell me anything about her. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't tell me her name. They wouldn't show me pictures. I only found out her name and what my original name was by being a snoopy preteen and going through this desk that had a million ancient papers that nobody had looked at for decades. And I found a photograph and I found my original birth certificate. And, which promptly got taken away.
Mm-hmm. But, so you said your original name was is this your name now? Is this your birth name that you go by, or do you go by the name given?
My name wasn't changed much. It was originally Crystal Joy Urban. Okay. And they changed it to Christina Joy Hawes. Gotcha. And then I've been married a couple of times, so.
Well, Krissi works for either.
Yeah. They kept it close.
Yeah, so if you are ready and willing, if you want to go ahead and start getting into your mom's case and everything surrounding what we're going to be talking about today, maybe starting with when you first found out who your mom was before you knew what happened.
I feel like you kind of have to know her childhood before you can understand even how much worse it. I mean, every person deserves justice. Every case deserves justice. Every person deserves a loving family, but she's had neither. She had a younger sister who was deaf and mute. Her mom walked out on the family when they were young. They were very young, and they were left with their father. I would say in the care of their father, but that is a very strong word. He would go to work and lock them in a closet when they were, 7, 8 years old. So that's where they spent their days, locked in a closet. And then he lost his job. So the family of 3 was living in a car. I was told this by multiple people, including her first foster family, which I'll get into in a minute. But when they were living in the car, I don't know where the dad was. But during the day, Wilma's sister, who was deaf and mute, would be locked in the trunk of the car. And this is in the Los Angeles County area. This is a little girl.
Right.
And Wilma, who was 9 or maybe barely 10, was alone wandering Los Angeles County trying to find food, money, things to survive.
Yeah. It's horrific.
It's insane. Like, can you imagine being homeless and scrounging for food alone? There's not even words.
No child deserves, nobody, but no child deserves anything like that. And to know she had to be out there just trying to get whatever she could get for her and her sister in that moment is heartbreaking. Now, if that wasn't enough for a young girl to go through, things continued to be rough for Wilma after she was taken from her father's custody and put into the foster system. And actually, rough is an understatement.
Rough is definitely the understatement, but there's also a moment that Wilma finally got a glimpse at a family and at being loved. It was brief and it came to an end way too quickly, but it was an impactful part of her life and on the life of the Holties.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And when she was 10 or 11, I want to say in 64, but I'm not 100% the year, she was finally, her and her sister were taken by Child Protective Services, and they were placed into foster care. Unfortunately, they were put into different foster homes because special needs. But Wilma went to Marshall and Maxine Holty. They are amazing people. I have had a chance to meet them. I actually called the other day. They're getting up there in years, but they are wonderful people. They took in Wilma, and they had a set of twins they were also fostering. Wilma almost immediately took to calling her foster father Marshall. She called him Dad, or was it Daddy or Father? I can't remember. But she almost immediately took to calling him that and was just enamored with the family dog because she'd never had a pet.
Yeah.
She'd never had anything. When she got to them, and mind you, 10 or 11 years old, you know things by 10 or 11 years old. You know how to read, write,
Right.
stuff like that. She'd never been to school, ever. She didn't know how to read. She didn't know how to write. She couldn't even write her own name, not even her first name. She didn't know how to use a fork. Basic toddler skills. She had never been taught anything. Maxine, the foster mother, taught her how to read. They were only able to keep her for, I can't remember if it was a year and a half. It was somewhere under 2 years. But in that time, Maxine, the foster mother, taught my mom how to, of course, use a fork, taught her some basic math, taught her to read at a first grade level, which is amazing to do in 2 years when she'd never, taught her to write a little bit. And loved her. And one thing that she told her was, "Thank you, Mother, for teaching me so many things." Oh. And she, with all the shit she'd been through, she was still, she was a kid. She was still loving. She still had hope. I went to visit Marshall and Maxine a few years back, and they talked about her with so much love. And they showed me home videos of her first ever Christmas. And it was just astounding. She was just like, she was just so,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was her first taste, or her first kind of view of what a unit, a family unit was made to be like, and she was
I don't think she had her
deprived
first
of.
Christmas until she was 11.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it was Maxine's sister was, I don't know, she wasn't feeling well, or she was sad, something was going on, and my mom went out in the backyard and picked a rose for her and gave her a rose and said, "I hope you feel better." Just sweet little things, and I'm like, oh my God, this poor girl. Even if it wasn't my mother, I'm just
right. Just the beauty and the innocence of a child, whether
after
whatever
going
they're
through
going
all of that horrificness, all of that neglect. But unfortunately, she had stability for almost a couple of years. She had love and stability. She stayed in touch with them up until she vanished. They meant a ton to her, and they still think about her. But she CPS decided that they could no longer have foster children because Maxine developed severe rheumatoid arthritis. I actually podcast did Wilma's story the other day, and somebody commented that she could have kept her. No, she couldn't. They didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
See, it's unless you've gone through something or about all of the different regulations and stuff in the foster system. And it is one of those things where, okay, but your biological mother could experience this and, of course, keep their children. But it's different when you're in a system and being, home visits and regulating what you are allowed and not allowed to do. It is very different.
Yeah. I mean, her foster family still loves her to this day. I mean, I felt bad. I hadn't talked to them for a couple of years. And, the more you put it off, the more you feel bad for not talking to someone. And I actually called them a couple of weeks ago, and Marshall picked up the phone, and I'm like, "Hi, Marshall, it's Krissi." He's like, "Who?" I'm like, "Wilma's daughter." He's like, "Oh."
You're like, "Don't you dare forget that." But yeah,
and,
that's amazing. I think that's a testament to the impact that they all had on each other's lives, that all these years later, and the fact that they were only in each other's lives for this small amount of time, but it was a significant and impactful time for all of them.
Significant. I wish they would have been able to keep her, because I wouldn't exist, but dear God, it would have been worth it. Unfortunately, like I said, CPS took the kids away from them. I know they kept in touch with those twins too. They loved all of the foster kids that they'd had like they were their own. But Wilma got taken away and bounced into at least 2 other foster families, and at one point a school. I was a hellraiser as a teen, and as you know, her final foster family adopted me. They fostered me and then adopted me, and they were not prepared for a rebellious. They were 65 and 71 when I was born. So I ended up in the system as a troublemaker at 15.
You were with them till you were 15? Yeah. And how long was Wilma with that family? Is that the Haas family? Is that how you say it?
Yes. Okay. I told you I get scattered.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So she was with the Holtes for a couple of years, and then she went with another family. I don't know their names. I wish I did. I don't know if they're alive. I would love to reach out to them, but I have no idea who they are. And I know she went to a school. Oh yeah, I remember where I was going with this. Being that I was in the system, a lot of times when it says school, it just means an institution towards the court.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she went there, and then her final placement was with my adoptive parents. And I believe she was with them for about 2 years.
Okay.
I was always raised by them to believe that they had to tell me I was adopted because of their age. That was like a rule the social workers put down. Otherwise, it would have been really confusing.
Right.
But they'd made me believe that it was a pre-planned adoption and that they had raised Wilma pretty much her whole life. And I found out later that that wasn't true. So I have a little bit of unwanted resentment
Right.
on that.
Mhm.
I mean, they've passed on, but I wish they would have talked about her.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did you still have a relationship and a connection with them before they had passed? After you
yeah,
you
yeah.
found out
I
about your mom?
consider
You did?
my adopted family were my parents.
Okay.
That's why I always specify my biological mom, because I
Right.
never met her, but her and I have a lot of. I don't act like my adopted parents at all, but I
The
definitely.
genetics were strong on that
Oh
one.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Between making bad decisions in my youth to Boots. She went by the nickname
Yeah.
Boots, and Amy, and those were not necessarily. A lot of people say those were. She went by those names when she was younger too, because I found a letter that she wrote. I guess my adopted parents had her for like a month or two, and then she went to that school for a while.
Mhm.
She graduated 9th grade, but as someone who graduated in the 90s from the court system and it was in Orange County.
Yeah.
Graduating high school doesn't. It said I passed driver's ed. I never took driver's ed on my transcripts.
Yeah.
So I know her education was horrific. But her final foster family was the Hawes in Seal Beach, California. And I was told, and I mean, I was told nothing about her. I hunted for her, basically. Once I found that paperwork, I would call random names in the phone book that matched. I had, and mind you, this is pre-internet, I had talk shows looking for her.
You were already a
And
mini investigator.
I was trying. I mean, I still have no idea what I'm doing, but I tried. A friend of mine's mom found my biological father, and I met him a few times. He passed away in 2000. He had nothing to say about her, really. He actually didn't live more than 35 minutes from where I grew up. But
Wow.
there was really no connection with him. I mean,
You found where he was and who he was, but it just kind of like stopped at that.
yeah. I mean, I would go visit him on occasion, but we didn't really develop a bond.
Gotcha.
And he really couldn't tell me anything about Wilma. It hadn't come out yet that she'd been identified, so I mean, I would have had a lot different questions if I'd have known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But once the internet became a thing, I went on forums and I would search her, and I would, anything, everywhere, and anything I could think of. I know when she turned 18, she supposedly went on a walk and never came back to my adopted parents' house.
Okay.
I think she was kind of a free spirit, and she never had stability. She never had love, and I think she was probably pretty gullible. Not to talk bad about her, but I mean, she didn't. I mean, being raised by the Hawes, I know that they didn't teach teenagers things teenagers needed to know.
Yeah. Well, and you have to consider, like, this whole entire time, she's not had stability for more than, a year or so at a time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess the word gullible, it makes sense in the situation, but
Or
through no fault of
naive,
her own.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's completely understandable for everything so far. And I mean, 18-year-olds in general.
Yeah.
They don't know. I mean, even as it is, and
they
then
know everything, but no.
Yeah, exactly. But then you add that to the idea that she she's had this life where she's had to go from here to there and find her own way. So yeah.
I think that's the thing about like stability too, and different upbringings, is that even when you have people who come into your life and try to help you or try to be there, you're always having that kind of like defense up, but always trying to find your own way because that's what you're used to. So even when someone's trying to help you through that, it's like, okay, I get it. Thank you. I appreciate it. But also it's me, and what can I do, and what am I going to do for myself?
Yeah.
With the Haas family, Wilma was a teenager. She was a teenager who lived the life that's been discussed so far. And so I don't find it shocking that Wilma was that of a nomad, or someone who had her boots on the ground when it came to up and leaving.
It is what she was used to from a terribly young age. And so although she had a home for Wilma, it seemed home wasn't a place. Her home was within herself. It was her independence, her bravery, her determination to live. And so young Wilma June Nissen, only 19 years old, left and got married.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, she supposedly went for a walk and didn't come back for a while. And when she came back, she was married to her first husband. Her first husband was Donald Wellington. I don't know. I think she was 18 when she married him, but I'm not sure. She also, that's when she got into sex work. Now, there are theories that he encouraged this. I don't know. I'm actually kind of friends with one of his daughters, and I never met the man, so I can't, say anything for sure, but all of a sudden she starts getting arrested for prostitution. And she had her first child while she was married to him, but it was with a different man. That child is believed to have been taken by Child Protective Services when she went with somebody else hitchhiking, or I think with that man who she had the baby with, trying to hitchhike to Florida.
Okay.
That was confirmed to me by I met someone once who knew Wilma, and she's since passed on. But she told me that they hung out in Long Beach a lot. They hung out at the Pike, Long Beach, and she hitchhiked with this baby, this new baby, and this guy, and Protective Services took the baby. So somehow 7 months later, she was back with her husband, and had Donald Wellington Jr., her husband Jr., which again, cannot hide nor hair. Might have found some information with help of a search angel on the first son, but the second one, I can't find anything about.
Okay. As you can see, things changed pretty quickly throughout her life, and Krissi explained it. Wilma did find herself in sex work, and that was during the time of her marriage with Wellington, who seemingly may have been the one orchestrating all of that for her. They didn't last, and Wilma then marries a man named Robert in 1977.
Later that year, Wilma gave birth to a daughter named Crystal. That's who we had the pleasure of speaking with here. Krissi was born August 18th, 1977.
I have no idea how long she stayed with Donald Wellington, but in late 76, I think, she got together with my biological father, Robert Urban, the one that I met, and the prostitution arrest stopped then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she just didn't get caught or what, but she married him. She was pregnant with me because I could see me in the picture. I'm like,
in like the picture from their from when they got married.
Yeah. It was definitely a go to the courthouse, get married kind of marriage. But she wore it wasn't a wedding dress, but it was a white dress, and you could definitely see a bump. But so that was I have no idea when they got married. Oh my God. She had me in August of 1977.
It must have been 76 or 77 if she was pregnant with you. That must have been one of those years right there.
She had me at 7 months. I weighed 2 pounds. I wasn't supposed to live. That's what the doctors told her. Or at least that's what I was told. And I found some social work papers that I didn't know existed until a few years ago that also verified that. But according to my adopted family, she left the hospital and never came back. But I also found out that they'd fostered me for a few years, and then when they couldn't find her, the adoption happened. So I'd been fed a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
Because there could have been the thought of her coming back. Did she have any conversation with them about that? If it would have...
I was led to believe it was completely prearranged, and it wasn't. I was going somewhere with this. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So you were talking about when she left the hospital after you were born.
Well, and anyway, she there's a rumor that someone asked, I believe it was Charles Belt, that she went to Georgia with. I'm under the impression that someone was threatening her and he was taking her out of the state to protect her. Now, I don't know if that's just a rumor or what. I also don't know if she would have come back. I really feel like since she stayed in touch with the Holties and obviously stayed in touch with my adoptive parents, if she, had me at 22.
And I mean, even after she had gotten married the first time, she went back.
Yeah.
So that is something where that was probably like a safe place and somewhere that she felt, she would be able to go back to. So I don't think that she
stayed in touch with the few families that she had.
Yeah.
And I don't think she would have come back to be my mom. I mean, can you imagine growing up with the life she had and then being a mom? It would be horrifying.
I know a lot of people who have had rough lives, and they are the most amazing mothers.
Yeah. But I also see how
young. She was 22.
Yeah, 22. That's pretty young, and keeping in mind that the life that she's led. Yeah, biologically she's 22, but thinking about how late she had a start in living, until she got to the Hosses and the Holties and everyone who's willing to, actually, provide for her, it's gonna delay some things. So I mean, I see that.
As much as I love my adoptive parents and miss them, they were not the squishy, lovey, supportive type. They were buy a cookbook and go to church and be a good girl type. So they weren't. I mean, they wouldn't tell me about her, and it was my biological mother. So that
right,
I mean,
that all
that they supposedly loved. But okay, so she left. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Normally, I'm not this.
That's okay.
Scatterbrained. It's been a long week.
I have a question because I'm wondering. So at this point, she's 22. She leaves California. with potentially a rumor that, someone's threatening her. So she's leaving to try to get to Georgia. Where is your biological dad at this point?
Still in California.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, just apparently, I don't know if they fought or anything. Nobody.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what happened. Nobody knows what happened. She just bailed. I think she had I did the same thing when I was in my 18 till about 27. I would do the same thing. I remember calling my parents because I lived in Vegas, and I called my dad and I'm like, "Hey Dad, I got married."
Yeah.
And like 3 months later, he asked me on the phone, "Did you really get married?" So,
he's like, did I dream that? Was that real?
Like, he thought I was, BSing him. And I'm like, no, I did get married. But she went with this man to Georgia, I believe, and they stayed at his mom's house. She was there for about 2 weeks, and that's where the gap is. She ended up, I can't remember. I'm sure you could find it if you look it up, but I can't remember when she left Georgia, but she was somehow ended up in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota and Lyon County, Northwest Iowa area, working for an escort service that went by Playgirls and Playmates. And her body was found in October of 1978. It'd been there for a while. She was probably murdered. They guessed she was very decomposed.
Right.
They believe she was probably murdered right around my first birthday.
This brings us to the tragic day, October 4th, 1978. A telephone company employee was laying cable along the highway of 182 near West Lyon School in Lyon County, Iowa, when he saw what he believed at first was a mannequin. Quickly, he found out he was very wrong and that he was indeed looking at a body that had been discarded on the side of the road and was unrecognizable from the decomposition.
This part of our conversation with Krissi bounces around, but to me, it paints the picture even more because you get to see Krissi, Wilma's daughter, as she replays and re-navigates all of the details from this time. Because as you will see right now, this body, although it was Wilma's, was not identified as such for 28 years.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And it was, they won't tell me, they can't tell me, and I understand it frustrates me, but they can't tell me what the cause of death was because they're hoping for a deathbed confession. Mm-hmm. But I have just read repeatedly quotes on how excessively brutal it was. When they found her body, it had been dragged into a rural roadside ditch in Lyon County, Iowa. She had a skull fracture, a dislocated elbow, and I think a dislocated cervical vertebrae in her neck. And they don't know if that happened before or after she was dead. The absolutely horrifying part is all but 2 of her top teeth were smashed out and her lower jaw was completely gone. Like, not there, never found. And it was not from animals. They don't know what happened to it. They won't tell me anything about it, but they did say it was definitely not wildlife, that, scavengers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She was found face down. She was nude from the waist up. She had like khaki green pants on and bikini style underwear, and they were pulled around her left leg, and white patent leather go-go boots. Oh, speaking of boots, okay, she also went by the names Amy and Boots. Those were not just stage names. She could have had a different escort name, or she could have just gone by her real name, who knows. But she went by those names well before the escort thing. Right. I don't know why, but that drives me nuts when people are like, that was her escort name. It's like, no, I saw letters.
Yeah.
Right.
She came
That's
up
what
with
you
that
mentioned, that even
before.
when she was a teenager, right? You saw letters where she signed it, Boots?
Yes.
Cute.
Yeah. In fact, I saw a letter that must have been after she turned 18 that she wrote to my parents, because she signed it Boots Wellington.
Oh, okay.
So she
had
a
new last name.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had a few aliases. I mean, it's going to sound terrible, but I would too if my name was Wilma. It's plus why not? But she was found. So the white go-go boots, and there was a hemp rope that was tied to the boots, but it wasn't like a binding. It was actually looked like it was used to drag her into the ditch. All right, cats.
Who wants to be in the recording?
Come here, Jimmy. You want to come here?
Come here, handsome.
Heather's like, wait, I'll go get Benny.
Cutie pie.
Oh, look at the coloring.
Beautiful markings. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's my little two-face. I named her Gemini.
I love it.
I'm a crazy cat lady. I say it runs in my genetics, because my favorite picture I have of Wilma is the one of her, and it's actually my biological dad, and he looks good in the picture. He didn't. I think her and I have in common too that we wear on men. And he looked really. She's holding a birthday cake. It was her birthday. Aww. And my biological dad's there, and he's holding a kitten. It's the cutest picture, and I'm like, I'm just a crazy cat lady that loves cake runs in my family. Good to know.
Yes. Love it. Yes, love it. It's nice that you can find those connections and feel that, even if even with everything, that you can look back on that and you can have that and know, because that's genetic right there. You can see it.
There's so much. There's so much. I mean, I'm going to TMI here. There's so much her and I had in common between so my adopted family also adopted. I have a special needs sister in a group home in Orange County. So, wow. The leaving town at 18 and getting into dancing and sex work. Yeah, I made that stupid choice. Thankfully, I didn't have a pimp, basically.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even down to boots. Like, I have more boots than shoes.
Yeah.
I love that she had that from such a young age. I keep thinking back to it, especially with the life that she lived, because it's just, she had such a nomadic life, right? And it's boots on the ground, no matter what, I'm going, and that just it keeps resonating that whole time.
Her and I,
boots were made for walking.
Yep.
That's just what they'll do. That's what I see. Every time I hear it, that's what the song that pops in, and I feel like it fits. It fits who she was.
Yeah, it does. It does. Except for, I think we're going to have to change the line to, once I find out who did it.
There you go. Oh, I like it. Yes. I like it.
Yes. It's a mission. It's my mission is to figure out, the justice is, closure is an illusion. Closure does not exist. Yeah. You can even look it up. Closure is, especially in cases like this, you're never going to get closure. But you can't get the answers. You can't just be done and everything's copacetic. However, I want answers. justice is not exactly going to happen because whoever did this it's been almost 50 years.
Yeah, they've got to live a life.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And her murder was so horrific. I mean, it sounds like she was basically tortured. I mean, they won't tell me. But God, it's just, ugh. But anyway, okay, back on topic. I'm sorry, I'm wasting your time here. I know you're
not. This is all I feel, because not only do we want to make sure the listeners know, obviously, the details of the case, so that if they know somebody who was in the area, if something rings a bell when we talk about this, or even if it was before, if there's any answers that someone could have, that's the something that way that those answers can get to you. And the other part is, we want to make sure, for so long, Wilma didn't have her name.
Thank you for mentioning
She didn't have her name.
Yeah, I almost completely forgot. Hi, Marco.
Yeah, I think that being able to provide, not only her name, but as much as we know about who she was as a person,
her story,
and not just what happened to her.
That's
who she was
thing.
And that's important to share. So this is definitely not wasting any time.
Okay. Don't let me forget to give you a few links. And I also have a personal email for anybody that, if they knew Wilma, I don't care if they were a client. I don't care if they picked her up hitchhiking. I don't care if they were a friend. I don't care if they hated her. If they knew her, I would love to speak to them.
Yeah. We'll make sure all of that goes into the show notes. And
also, if anybody has a theory, a thought, a tip maybe, but they don't feel like it's really a tip, I have a personal email. I've got a ton of different Crime Stoppers and various tip lines, because I've had a difficult time with the sheriff's department as of the last few years. The Lyon County Sheriff's Department is in charge per case. And the first sheriff was amazing. His name was Craig Vinson. He's unfortunately passed away. And up until Sheriff Blumendahl, Blumendahl, he was amazing. There was a few sheriffs in between, but I don't know who all they were. It sounds terrible, but I know who the first one was, and the one when they identified her. She was found, dragged into a ditch. They tried everything they could to identify her. In, I believe it was October of 78. It was it's still a very rural area. It looks almost the same today as it did back then. The only reason she was found was this poor, I think he was a 19-year-old telephone company worker, was laying the phone line and thought it was a mannequin at first. And that's the only reason they even found her. So they found her. They tried to identify her. They couldn't figure it out. They went to, because of her, she had calf-length go-go boots on, white go-go boots on. So they went to...
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Clubs and tried to figure out who she was. They did so much to try and figure it out. Finally, they were able to get 2 usable prints from her body. One was a thumbprint, I think her left thumbprint. And they ran it, but I mean, in the 70s, they couldn't do a nationwide thing really well.
Right.
And then somehow it didn't get run nationwide until she was identified in 2006. And I found out from actually my friend's mom that found my biological dad. I was going through some stuff. I had a drug problem. I was being threatened by the police there was a will. I was supposed to keep my house. My house was mine. I was quitting drugs, but I had let someone stay with me and I couldn't get them out. And they were doing some shady stuff I didn't know about. Police came, arrested them, and took my adopted dad. My adopted dad had a son in Florida that was very well off and decided he wanted all of my dad's properties and took my dad while I was away. And I guess I'm trauma dumping here, but I fought to keep the house. It was willed to me by my mother, and my father had signed and notarized and had a lawyer draw it up. But this guy had money and he had a shady lawyer in his pocket. So the swing shift cops, I finally left when this is all right when they identified Wilma. I found out through a newspaper clipping from my friend's mom.
Oh my gosh.
Shortly, that's happening. I'm finally off of, I had a meth problem for a lot of years. I was finally off meth. I was trying to get the house. I was doing repairs on the house. I was doing anything I could to try and atone for my stupidity. And finally that lawyer came in, cops broke into the house. They didn't care. Like, they even locked my cats out at one time. I had no electricity. I had, thankfully I somehow still had running water, and it was in Southern California. So it was cold. It was winter, but it wasn't, cold. But they came in and said that if I was there the next day, nobody would ever find my body. Yeah. The Swing Shift Police Department in Seal Beach actually said that to me. And that was a couple days after I'd gone in on the day shift to submit my DNA, because once I saw that article, I called the Rock Rapids Sheriff's Department, and they're like, well, would you go down to the police station and do a DNA test? And I'm like, of course. Actually, I went down there. I went down there during the day, and the cops were like, hey, how's your dad doing? So it was entirely sketchy. But when I had pneumonia really, really bad at one point, and I should have been in the hospital. And the cops broke in and came in my room pointing guns at me with the lawyer there and said if I was still there the next day, that nobody would ever find my body. And I'm like, they meant it. I'd been fighting it for months. So I was homeless. Then
I'm sorry, my friggin' mind is blown right now in so many ways, because first of all, what in the absolute hell? Second of all, you're going through so much already, then you just pile on, and then people who are supposed to help not add to that pile are piling on. So
and it was so weird that the day shift didn't know a damn thing about it, but the swing shift was all in on it. And I was like, I had more guns pointed at me by police in my own home.
Right.
Well, I should have been in the hospital. Like, I remember one time I actually left the house for because I didn't have any food. I didn't have any electricity. So I was like, I had a fireplace for warmth, and I had, I needed food. So I had a friend that lived around the block, and I went over there and bummed some food off her. I came back, and the police had 16 penny nailed all the windows shut and changed the locks. Thrown out my one cat. I had a cat that was kind of special needs. She couldn't jump, and her claws would lock up. And then I had my Siamese. He went through all that with me. And they threw the cat out in the backyard, threw some cat food on the front porch. 16 penny nailed all the windows shut. They missed one window. And my friend's little girl climbed in through the window and unlocked the door.
Nice.
And so I got back in. That was a couple weeks before the nobody will ever find your body incident. But I got back in, and that night, a cop comes to my door and goes, "I'm here for the cat." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The white cat." I'm like, "That's my fucking cat."
What?
That was my cat that called me mom that lived for 18 years. They took my dad's dogs. They took my dad, and then while I was gone, they broke in and took the dogs, and I don't know whatever happened to them. They might have just put them down.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm totally trauma dumping on you right now, but I'm like,
No, that is.
can you tell that messed me up? And that was all at the time I found Wilma.
I mean, yeah, it would mess anybody up. That's insane. That's such bullshit.
It really is.
God.
I mean, all that happened, and then it was like, I watched them as they threw all my stuff into a dumpster, and as I was like, and I had stuff packed, a few things packed, and they wouldn't let me take anything. They're like, "We'll call the cops. They'll have you arrested." So I couldn't even take anything. So I had nothing. I lived in a broken down car for a few days. Well, okay, a couple weeks. In the hood, in California. And it wasn't like the worst hood, but it was, not the best. But I would go for walks. And on my walks, if somebody happened to offer me money for exchanges, I would until I got enough to get a motel room. Mm-hmm. And so I moved up to Motel 6, and then I moved up to a nicer Motel 6.
There you go.
That's why I wasn't able to go to the ceremony that they had for when they finally identified Wilma. It's because I was that was right in the midst of that.
In the midst of that, but then how do you go from what you had just experienced, what you had just lived through, your life, your personal situations, to, you know what I need to do right now? I need to go work alongside these people to try to make a difference in my biological mom's case. Like, how do you go from how you were just treated to, okay, but what are we going to do now?
You mean like working along with cops?
Yeah.
Well, the cops that were working on my mom's case were not in California, obviously. And it was just the swing shift cops there. We're in this sketchy lawyer's pocket. And I mean, I still have trauma, obviously.
Yeah.
But I brought it on myself. I knew better. I had a drug addiction. I take responsibility for my actions.
Yeah, but I don't think that you can take responsibility for cops acting against the law. I
tried to get help with that. There was nobody going to help me with that. I tried.
That's insane. Yeah.
One of the things from the email we received from Krissi when we were first discussing covering her mom's case was, quote, "She got more care after her murder than she got in her entire short life. The sheriff department thinks her case won't be solved, but I refuse to give up," end quote.
Now let's not forget, all of this time that we've been talking about Wilma June and her life, and as we've spoken with Krissi didn't know who her mom was for years and had never found her after she had finally found her name.
In 2006, when she was identified, one question for Krissi was answered, but a million more arose. From when she was found till today, here's what Krissi has to say about that.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
I mean, the cops in Wilma's case, they tried so hard. When she was identified, it was Sheriff Blythe Blumendahl. And the lead detective was Jerry Berkey, and they were amazing.
Good.
I was horrified because I was like, they're expecting this, young person, and Wilma was this petite little, child almost, and then there's my almost 30-year-old chunky self coming up. My hair was all dyed black, and I'm all gothed out, and I'm like, yeah, I am afraid. But they were amazing. They were so good. They talked to me. They treated me, respectfully. I feel like that's the wrong word. They treated me with the kindness that you would want to be treated with. And they treated Wilma with kindness. I remember Sheriff Blumendahl had a board, a big, huge timeline of Wilma trying to figure it out. And he really cared, and Detective Berkey really cared, and they still do. But unfortunately, Detective Berkey has moved to a different. He's no longer Detective Berkey, and Sheriff Blumendahl had to retire because of a family emergency. And since then, I have had issues with the Sheriff's Department.
Issues with them. Just no longer working or not communicating or
not communicating.
Kind of
like, they had a website. I don't know who did the reward. There was a $10,000 reward on her case. That's been gone for a minute. I don't know who put it up, but it's not there. Now the whole webpage is missing. The first sheriff after Sheriff Blumendahl talked to me a couple of times, and then I went up there with Angela Konecki from Kalo News, and I met with him and ex-Detective Berkey, and that was the most communication I got from him. And now there's a new sheriff that just got elected in January, and I emailed him a few times, and it was interesting. He wanted me to send him a copy of my birth certificate to prove who I am.
I'm sorry. All of that should be in your files.
Yeah. I'm like,
we've already established
in your office. I sent him a picture of my passport and my driver's license. And I said, will this work? He said, well, I would still like a copy of your birth certificate. I'm like, my name is different. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm adopted, remember? Finally,
what does he think? Like, who does he think you, like, what? I don't understand if you were not connected to this case, what?
Oh, I've had.
Like, what the hell?
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who try to get information, and so I understand the needing to be sure the person is who they say they are, but the fact that you've already been working towards finding stuff, and that's the part where I'm like, what are you talking about?
From that email address.
Yeah.
The new sheriff wanted all this information. I finally just sent him a link to the from the interview. And was like, does that work? Or would you like to ask any of the ex-sheriffs, or, and finally he was like, okay, I believe you are who you say you are, but, it was a lot of, I'll circle back to you. And he wouldn't talk to me. And now he has not responded to an email of mine since February 6th. And the detective is not exactly new. She's the detective. The only, because it's a really rural town, the only major case detective is this one person, Detective Deputy Amy Stoner. And now she's all of a sudden emailing me back because I think he just said, you deal with it. That's my opinion.
Okay.
But I managed to set an appointment for the beginning of next month. I'm going to go, I make things and I sell them at different Renaissance fairs and craft fairs and stuff. So I'm going to be in Nebraska, and I'm like, well, hey, what about, how does April work for you, or May work for you? and I got told that she was going to be away for like 3 weeks of it. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I have this date, this date, this date free. So I managed to schedule an appointment to go and sit down with them.
Good.
I am hoping they will listen to me because I have contacted, I went to a thing called AdvocacyCon that was amazing in Indianapolis a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Met some amazing people. Sometimes it's hard to keep fighting. Sometimes, I mean, it's very taxing. It's very emotionally taxing and exhausting.
Yeah.
That is, I was going to bring up AdvocacyCon because I know that we had talked about how you were going to go. I wish that I could have been there. I had family visiting, but you met one of our producers. We do Missing in Hushtown with Jen Rivera. So we know that you had talked with her.
Jen's a sweetheart.
Yeah. She is the best, and she is one of the most amazing advocates for families. And so when I saw her post the picture with you, and I was like, oh my gosh, my heart. I loved it.
No, she's super sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met with her. I talked to her. There was a couple of other people I was supposed to talk to that one just didn't happen. I talked to a podcast that actually did a case on a friend of mine's sister that was horrible. But when I lived in Vegas, dear friend of mine's sister was murdered.
Oh my gosh.
Asked them, had you heard of her? And they're like, actually, we just did an episode on her recently.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So sorry, that one makes me tear up more than anything.
Oh yeah.
But there were a lot of people there, and it's strength. It's strength in numbers.
It is strength in numbers. I feel like those events, like how you said you didn't get to talk to someone, those events, it makes me think of like a wedding where you do all this planning, you do all this like preparation, you're going to be there, and then it's done in 3 seconds, and it's like everything has already passed by, and you leave with this very, very large emotional hangover from what you just experienced that just is like weighing on you for the next week or two or even longer.
Yeah.
But were you able to like make connections and talk with people and keep conversations going from there?
This is going to sound awful, but instead of like the seminars they had going, I was more networking with people.
Okay.
I wanted to talk to people individually.
Yeah.
DNA is a big thing that I've talked to quite a few people about. The last update on my mom's case. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm jumping the timeline.
It's okay. I was gonna shoot back over there at one point, anyways.
Because it makes me because that's the thing is these conventions, they're just as much about getting information from these seminars as they are about networking. Those networks are going to be the people and the resources that you need to really push through as well. And I'm glad you mentioned DNA because I wanted to ask about it. I know that in some of the coverage they did. I mean, DNA wasn't a thing at the time that your mom's body was found, but they did take clippings, right, from her fingernails.
Yes. They did a few things, shockingly, because, I mean, they did so much. They find this is a small, Midwestern, rural, close-knit community, and an outsider is found dead in a rural ditch, and they spent so much time, work, care, and I'm very, very, very thankful to them.
Yeah.
But
I'm tearing up. I'm sorry. And that just makes me feel, I'm so grateful because we have covered cases in the past where, and I'm sure you've heard of cases where it's like the exact opposite, you know, even in, not rural, like towns who would have the resources to put towards, a case like this, and they just
don't
write it off.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you've continuously said that at the time that her body was discovered, and then when she was identified back in 2006, the care that was put forth by the authorities. That really just so nice.
I was amazed, especially after all I'd just gone through with my local
Yeah,
authorities.
exactly.
I was so grateful that they cared about her. I wish somebody, I mean, I know people cared about her. I know the Holties cared about her. I know in their way, my adopted parents cared about her. I know that her sister cared about her, but she got more care after her murder.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Than she ever did in her life.
Yeah.
And
It's definitely one of the most kind of like notable things in your email when you reached out to us was that line where you had said just exactly that she got more care after than she did in her entire short life, and that it's awful. Earlier I mentioned it's been 46 years. 46 years since Wilma's body was found, yet it was unidentified and buried in a Jane Doe grave. Now, she has been exhumed since 2007. It's been 18 years. Nothing has happened. But you want to know something? Something has happened. A bunch of things have happened. There has been so many advancements in DNA testing and investigating procedures that they need to be utilized in Wilma's case to find who is responsible for this.
Yes. So many people have actually passed away over the years that were connected to Wilma. But that doesn't mean that there still can't be a deeper investigation that helps to bring the answers that Krissi and others have been looking for. Here's our conversation with Krissi on people who were looked into pertaining to Wilma's murder.
The sheriff's department has not been as willing to speak to me. The new sheriff that got elected in January, like I said, he's kind of kicking any emails over to it's such a small town. They have one detective that covers all major cases.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have an appointment with them. There are suspects. There are two women that were known to rob other escorts and dancers, and they were also known to be violent, although they'd never been caught doing a murder or anything, but they were known to not be good people.
For Sugar, you can say haven't been involved with murders, but I'm pretty sure that I found that she was involved in a stabbing in Canada. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, you've been involved in some stuff. So
I search and I mean, I look up my mom's name a couple times a day just to see if maybe there's something new. But Sugar and Peaches were the names that they went by. Of course, not their real names. They know where Sugar is. Yeah. She has failed 3 polygraph tests, but denies having anything to do with Wilma's case. Peaches, no idea. They can't. She was known. They were close. They were known to work the Sioux Falls and Northwest Iowa, that area. Like I said, the service was Playgirls or Playmates. Probably the same service and different names. They are described as light-skinned Black women that would have been in their mid to late 20s, in the mid to late 70s. Mm-hmm. And like I said, Peaches 3 polygraph tests, and she denies having anything to do with it. Also, they have amplified DNA. I don't know when they got it. I only heard about it when I went up there in 2021. And it was not, you couldn't use it with CODIS yet. But with the advancements in technology with DNA, I truly believe that if the sheriff would work with me, because you have to be law enforcement to get it started. And there are grants, there are 401, there's nonprofits that will help with it. And I think that if they would, because they won't tell me, the new sheriff, I asked him about getting the photos I loaned them of Wilma back in 2006. And he said that he had to talk to somebody because it's evidence. And I'm like, how is that evidence? They're not even yours. Those are on loan. They're all I have of her. But if they're willing to, I hopefully they know where I'm starting to wonder even if they know where the rope and her clothes are. I know they have them. I know they were sent to a Scandinavian company a few years back that was cutting edge, and they were able to amplify DNA. They were able to go, okay, this DNA belongs to this law enforcement person that touched it, so we're going to roll this out. And I truly believe that if nothing else, if they would give anything that had DNA on it to one of these companies.
Yeah, send it into Othram. Send it to,
there's
so many
I've reached out to, like, I think 6 or 7 different companies.
Yeah.
And if it has to, if it can't be paid for by grant, I will do anything I have to do. I will sell a kidney. I will, whatever. I don't care. I will do anything to get answers. Right. She had a horrific life, and she deserves. They exhumed her in 2007, and her body is still in an evidence locker somewhere. Her remains.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up at one point. I didn't want to throw you off with what you're talking about. So 2007, she was exhumed. Why? Have they told you why she still hasn't been laid back to rest? Like, what is the reasoning behind that?
I don't know. They have not told me why she hasn't been reburied. I'm hoping it's for technology to catch up. I don't know. Yeah. I kind of want to go, can you just put all the pieces back together and bury her and let her rest? But at the same time, I'm afraid if I say that I'll, that it'll make a possibility that could help. It's not possible.
Technology is changing every day.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like they should be able to pull samples enough that they can keep that in evidence and then be able to, and I think that you're right. There are a lot of places, like you said, like nonprofits, that will do the testing. But if all of the sample and source of the testing is in the hands of, a department that is holding on to it for whatever reason, that's where it's tricky. So I do hope that by getting some eyes on the ears and eyes on the case and understanding where it is and by you being able to meet with them, I hope it applies enough pressure to the department to get the ball rolling. Like
exactly
you said,
how I feel.
They've been sitting on it for a while now. I understand there's been change in leadership, but that shouldn't stop you from at least communicating to the best of your abilities. You're like, this is your case. Like, take responsibility for it, right?
Right.
So,
well, I think the case is older than the sheriff at this point.
Yeah. Right.
So, and
even more reason though.
Yeah.
To get it done.
People, and I've been told repeatedly, and it's like, thanks, but I've been told repeatedly that a lot of the people involved in this might be dead. Okay, fine. I still want answers. I want answers. I want to know who took this poor woman who lived through hell and survived and brutally murdered her.
Yeah.
I want to know who, and I want to be able to lay her to rest knowing what happened. That is my goal. And they need to, in my opinion, law enforcement that's in charge of this needs to do what they can do instead of trying to, shoo me away. And I feel, this is how I feel. I don't know if this is truth, but I feel like they are just hoping that I will shut up and go away and it can just, dusty file, boom. Yeah. Unsolved case, no worries.
We're here to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, me too.
It seems to us that they've had their eyes and their investigative pin boards leading in a direction for a while, but haven't been able to find the exact piece that will finally put the whole puzzle together. But as Krissi said, she refuses to give up and will continue spreading awareness and talking to those who can help move things forward in her mom's case.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Things that I've seen from you, listening to other podcasts, talking with you, it seems to me, and I hope that I'm not overstepping in any way, is that yes, you want answers for your mom. Yes, you want to see those responsible held accountable, whether they're here or not. You just want to know what happened. But one of the things is that I feel like you want to feel more connected and know your mom more, since you didn't really get that opportunity since she was taken while you were young. Course. You want to know more. And I know that you had said you have that email open, you have things open, so that if anyone who has ever known her, talked to her, been around her, anything, can just reach out to you. Can you kind of like share where people could reach out to you or get a hold of you?
I will absolutely email you the links to all of the social medias. I have an email that is dedicated for anyone that knew her, has maybe a tip and doesn't feel comfortable, has something that they don't think is a big deal, but it might be, and they just don't want to. Plus, I actually talked to someone in Rock Rapids that called in a tip line to the detective and felt like they blew her off. So I spoke to them for like an hour and a half, and it seemed like something that should be followed up on. And I'm going to mention that when I go make my visit.
Good.
But I do have the email. It's justice4 Wilma at AOL.com. I'll send you all the stuff.
Okay.
I've got a Reddit page for her, just r/Wilma June Nissen. I've got a Facebook group, and I don't know how to rename it, but I believe it's called Help Me Solve My Biological Mother's Cold Case. Like I said, I'll send you all the links if you want to put them in show notes or something.
Yeah, for sure will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you have any suggestions on how I can further get her name out there, I'm this is my mission. I'm doing this for her and me, and by me trying to help her is helping me.
Your mom's case right now, is it classified as a cold case? It's just open?
It is
investigation, or what's the actual classification?
I've gotten responses. Usually, recently they've been much friendlier, but the current detective, normally when I would try to ask her anything about the case, I would get the we can't discuss an ongoing investigation, the generic response. So it's cold, but it is still active.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
It does. And
now, are they doing anything? I don't know.
Right. And that was going to be my follow-up question. There's a difference between a quote unquote active case and an active investigation.
Yes.
Right. So
I even tried to start a petition. I started a petition. I kind of overdid it because I have no idea what I'm doing, but I have a petition on change.org. I don't know if it would do anything, but
we'll put that in the link as well.
Awesome. It is to make it so families of cold cases, whether it be murder victims or missing people, it gives law enforcement 10 years. After 10 years, they have to, it's to mandate transparency with the immediate family. Show them more information of what's happened and what they're currently doing to get answers.
Yeah.
And it was inspired by Lonnie's
regular communication. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
We'll definitely put that out there. I have a question, and I don't know your stance on this, so you can tell me to F off if you want. But so I know you had brought up earlier suspects, theories and stuff, and a big one that is talked about here and there is the truck stop killer. So Robert Rhodes. Is there any sort of, do you have any, like, is that something that you still think could be a possibility, or
that was looked into heavily by the sheriffs that cared, that I feel like cared. I'm sorry, I'm saying this so wrong. I'm not trying to bash the sheriff, current or the last one. I just get pissed that they won't communicate with me. So I'm a little jaded. But no, they heavily investigated, and he is not a suspect. Okay. I am going to ask about why. Again, I've been told a little bit, but not. I mean, I also get flustered and forget things. I need to take. I've got my notes. I'm going to take my notes with me when I go talk to them, and I'm going to ask them why they believe it's sugar and peaches. They did tell me, stuff, but no, the truck stop killer is not
as high on the list. Okay. Because I know I've seen that they said he wasn't doing anything at that time. Yeah. But also things escalate, people progress, and what happens certain times doesn't mean that it wasn't happening other times. So I was just kind of wondering.
People lie, and if you're a serial killer, you probably lie a lot.
Yeah, definitely don't believe a word. Also, I had never seen a picture of him, and I instantly had nightmares. So he's terrifying. Okay, Heather, do you have anything else that you wanted to say?
I don't. I think first, just thank you. I think that you, like you said, you're on a mission, and we're here to help you on that mission. And we'll stay in contact, because if we can think of any other people to put you in touch with, or any of that, we'll be sure to pass it along. And I just hope, you said it's beginning of next month, right? In a few weeks. That I just really hope you're able to get some. It's nice that they're finally going to meet you face to face, because they can't just not respond to your, like an email when you're face to face. So I'm hoping. I
kind of with that whole deal, I started naming them and tagging them on all the pages that I mentioned, and then I said, "Oh, yeah, date set." And
exactly
my name with the, I'm like, I appreciate them setting this, and I'll be seeing so and so and so and so on this date, as long as my car makes it.
Yeah. I think that's the way to go. I think that you're definitely. I think I love your personality and the way, I live for that, and I think that that's the right way to do things. And
I have no idea what I'm doing, but
you're doing it.
I'm doing it right. Or I'm doing some things right.
You are.
Thank you so much, and I'm sorry that we went back and forth so much.
I'm sorry I go left so hard. It's ADD and anxiety together are so fun.
No, they are. They are.
We get it. we know, because
One last thing. Do you have any thoughts of going to CrimeCon this year, since you went to Advocacy Con? Will you be?
I have not heard about CrimeCon.
So CrimeCon is another. Advocacy Con is definitely more of the victim first, the advocates first. CrimeCon, I would say, is more of a fan type place.
More of the entertainment by...
Yes, but there are so many amazing creators, law enforcement, people. I mean, Othram, like, other people will be there who are the ones behind the scenes doing the testing, doing the things, and it's a huge
I'm not against it. I mean, as long as like I told you, I make things and sell them at events, so as long as I have to do that, I have to have some kind of income, you know. But,
and there's a lot of,
I would love to hear more.
We will, because there are a lot of advocacy, and like every year there's like the Black and Missing, the missing and murdered Indigenous peoples, and you get a lot of survivors and victims' families who are there trying to spread the word about what happened. And that's what needs to be done. To find answers. Exactly. And this is just another platform.
On my Facebook, it's my personal Facebook page, but I share a lot about Wilma. It's got a lot of my crap too, but I share a lot about Wilma, but I also share a lot of other cases. Just post to my profile like, hey, this person's missing, this person, this, that, whatever.
Exactly.
Anything that, any way I can help, I would love to help someone. So if I can help someone in some way, send them my way. I don't know what I could do, but
sharing. I mean, we tell this to our listeners all the time, is just sharing that flyer, sharing the information, just sharing, because you never know when a face or a detail or a date just clicks in someone's mind and goes, oh, you know what? And sometimes that smallest thing can be the reason that a case gets solved. And that's, we always say that, you know, that's all it takes. It's just one more person to share, and it could be the
one
reason.
Person may have something they don't even realize they know.
They don't even exactly. So
all right.
Well, we really appreciate that. It's nice to make sure that. It's just nice to hear, like, we say it all the time, it's such a community. We didn't really realize that when we first got in, but our first big one was talking to Heidi about her mother's case. And from that point on, she's so great. And she just,
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
You know, her thing is where there's hope, there's a way. And it's just, I think we really realize that, this is a community of people who are on missions, and that's what we're all here to do. So thank you for sharing your mission, and we're going to do our best to help share it out. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Absolutely. Thank you for sitting with us, and we will talk very, very soon. I'll be sending you some stuff as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You both have a great day.
Krissi won't give up, and we have the opportunity to help. And here is how you can start. Krissi is on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, X, whatever it's called. And all of the links will be in the show notes for you to go click and add each and every account.
Krissi also has an email that is open for any tips, any information on her mom's murder, or if you have anything on just who Wilma was. She wants to know more about her biological mother. So anything and everything pertaining to Wilma June Nissen, please email justice4wilma@aol.com. That's justice, 4, Wilma@aol.com.
There's many numbers you can call if you know something about the murder of Wilma June Nissen from 1978. The Lyon County tip line at 712-472 8300.
The Cold Case Coalition at 385-258-3313.
Iowa Attorneys General's Cold Case Unit at 800-242-5100.
And, of course, Crime Stoppers at 605-367-7007.
Then one of the biggest things that we can ask of you guys right now would be to visit the change.org petition that Krissi has going right now, which is to mandate transparency and regular updates in cold case investigations for family members.
Yes, please, please, please go sign that petition and help not just Krissi and not just Wilma's case, but so many more. It's so important for all the families who are going through something similar and have a cold case for one of their loved ones. Right now, it's at 154 signatures, which is 154. We love to see it, but we've got to push and get that number higher. So let's sign it, let's share it, and let's get that number up.
Lastly, we want to thank Krissi for her time and for being open to talking with us and being so vulnerable throughout the conversation. We tell true crime stories weekly here on Like Mother, Like Murder, and although we sit and listen for an hour and then the episode is over, that's not the reality for these family members we're talking about. It's everyday life and it doesn't end. So our help, our support, it means a lot to those that we work with.
So thank you all for listening today. Again, everything is in the show notes. Please go there and check it out. If for some reason you don't know what the show notes is, when you're listening to a podcast, just go to the bottom of wherever you're listening and it gives you details on the episodes. You can click that. You'll see all the links, all the information. You'll see transcripts. You'll see the sources. It's everything you need to check out.
We will talk to you guys next week on another episode of Like Mother, Like Murder. Until then, you guys stay safe. Go sign that petition. Do what you got to do. If you guys see something, say something. If you're someone who, you know, maybe your great-grandmother was talking about something that happened in Iowa. They were at a party and something went south and, you know, has this information and you've been sitting on it for a long time. We need you to come forward immediately and give that information to authorities so that they can look into it. Let's help Krissi. Let's help Wilma. And I'm going to go to the change.org petition next week, and I better see more than 154 because that is what we need you guys to do. Yes. So we will talk to you guys next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
I love you. Bye.
I'm Mandy.
And I'm Avery.
We're the hosts and creators of Thick Thighs and Creepy Vibes.
Join us as we take a deep dive into the macabre and the unexplained.
Listen every Wednesday as we take you on a chilling journey that transports you to all corners of the Great White North.
Let's boot those Sunday scaries while we take a rip into the harrowing tales of the haunted and the supernatural phenomena that defy explanation.
So grab your ketchup chips
and your Caesars and make sure to
creep it real.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.